Hey everybody, welcome to the Double Stuff Podcast. We are double the hosts, double the topics, and double the fun. I'm Sarah.
I'm Dan.
Wow. I didn't know it was a race
do
to the
something
mic.
fun.
You took me off guard. You're normally the normal one.
You're like, oh, I'm Dan.
Sorry. Let me get my bearings. I'm Charity.
I'm Alan.
Oh,
Ooh.
Creeper.
Changing it up.
I felt like
I always feel like somebody's
Watching me.
okay. So next episode, I'll have to try to think of a way to make my voice
I
sound.
know. I got to do something creepy too.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Sarah.
Okay.
Take it away.
So we're off to a great start already. Okay, so yes, we have been doubling the hosts and doubling the topics, of course. So we're just going to revisit topics over the past 2 years, which is going to be fun. So I'm going to leave it to Alan, who's going to decide the fate of the topics of our episode.
Topic 1. Arcades and video games, taken
Ah.
I was
from
gonna say Dan's excited
episode
now.
number 69, the Kmart Tamagotchi. I do remember.
Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi.
At Kmart, it was the Tamagotchi.
that was the knockoff version.
Okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
And topic number 2, Wichita history, out of episode number 29, gold repaired buildings. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of Wichita history there. Okay. I guess we'll start. We'll go ahead since Dan was, the little
Dan's fired
twinkling
up
in
and
his
ready to
eyes
go.
got really excited. So yeah, so tell us a little bit about video games, Dan.
I mean, they're fun.
Yeah.
No,
Thank you for joining today, guys.
I like totals. That's an old reference.
it's an old reference. That's an old YouTube reference.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I showed my age there.
No. No, I think it's still a year on now, or maybe even a little longer, and I'm probably still the only person who regularly plays video games here.
That's
So
true.
the topic of conversation is just me sort of talking into. It's like, hey, have you guys played the new? No,
No.
you haven't.
Well, I mean,
I'm afraid not.
I did include arcades, which I have played a lot of arcade games.
Yeah.
but
I
not
was just
necessarily
at
video
Dave and
games.
Buster's. It was.
I was gonna say Dave and Buster's in
Yeah.
round 1 at the mall.
I've never heard of round 1 though.
That's at Town East.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Charity went there last. Was that in the fall? I think it was last
Is that
fall.
like more of a traditional arcade though?
It's like Dave and Buster's, but
Oh.
it's in the mall, so like it's probably younger people there because I think you can drink at Dave and Buster's. I don't think you can.
Oh,
drink.
you can certainly
Can you drink at
it.
round 1?
You can drink anything as long as it's not alcoholic. Actually, I don't know.
I mean, you can also drink
They don't
alcohol.
check my QT cup.
Typically. It's like you can drink anything. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's true.
That's what people is like, Sarah, do you drink? And I try to be facetious, like, oh, of course I drink. I drink water, I drink soda, I drink tea. I try to do the facetiousness. It's like, okay, I know what you mean, but it's like, so.
I will say this though, there is a difference between an arcade, like a more traditional arcade, and like a Dave and Buster's, because Dave and
Yeah.
Buster's are just like
Anarchy.
well,
It's like Chuck E. Cheese for adults. I
well,
guess.
but they also
yeah,
took like
yeah.
arcade games and just went to like the max with them.
Yeah.
I mean, just the interactivity and stuff is crazy. And I'm thinking of when I was younger and I'd go to like the bowling alley and we would play Metal Slug, which is like a shooter game or whatever, and it was just a joystick and a couple buttons, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, we can hop on this basically motorcycle and go, riding around tracks
Yeah.
or
Uh-huh.
like the Halo game that's at Dave and Buster's and stuff. It's nuts. So
Yeah.
I think there is a difference between what maybe is in the mall and like what they
That's
have
true.
access
Yeah.
to versus
You know
like
what I
the top
think
tier.
is kind of a cheap workaround that they do? They take like apps and then
Yes.
make them into a giant video game.
Yeah,
I'm
like Fruit Ninja.
or
Cut
Fruit
the
Ninja
Rope.
or Crossy Road. I'm like, this is a free app.
Yeah.
How are you're going to exploit children to pay $20?
I mean, have you ever played mobile games? It's all about exploiting children.
Well, that's true. That's true.
That's
yeah.
not
You
surprising.
got to wait for to the next level. You got to wait through 5
it's
minutes
crazy.
of ads.
Yeah, it's insane.
Oh, that's a long time.
And that's the
Well,
thing, though.
I'm
But it
exaggerating,
sneaks
but-
into other games too. Like you would think it's just like apps because they're free most of the time. They're putting that stuff in like full blown $60, $70 games.
Wow.
They're putting these
Wow.
like microtransactions in because they can. That's
I mean,
basically all it is.
that's not shocking, but still, that's still frustrating.
It's shocking to me. I'm like, no. I look at the future and I realize my days of like playing games, if they keep going in this direction,
Yeah.
are limited because I will stop at some point because I'm not going to pay a bunch of extra money for that stuff.
Exactly. I keep thinking of that scene in Ready Player One where after the first challenge has been found, he's like, it doesn't matter. We've actually figured out that we can occupy 80% of the player's field of vision before they go into like a epileptic seizure or something like that. And I'm like, there are people that are thinking about stuff like that.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the VR thing. There's a new VR coming out for PlayStation. I'm really excited about. I know it's completely like nobody cares when it comes to a topic,
Look at us,
but
he's getting ready to geek out. you
I
guys.
appreciate
Yeah.
your enthusiasm.
because VR
How is
games
it
are getting pretty
different?
good. Do what?
How is it different?
So the current system it's an older system. Like it was built quite a while. I mean, probably 4 years ago, which in tech is quite a while ago. So the definition of the video screen inside the headset is not great. I mean, it's decent, but it's kind of blurry and stuff. And then the controllers that they use are from the previous generation, so they don't even have joysticks. They're all motion based, basically. So this new one is a single plug-in that plugs into the machine, so you don't have to have an extra box that plugs into it, which is really nice. And then it's got a controller that has like motion sensor around the outside of it, basically, so you don't need a camera. And what it's doing is there's cameras on the outside of the visor, and it tracks where your hands are in relationship to where your
Wow.
head is.
Wow, that's pretty.
Yeah.
That
pretty
seems pretty
advanced.
advanced.
It's super
yeah.
cool. I mean, you can
Yeah.
get one right now because it's like the Oculus does that, or the Oculus Rift does that. But this is like kind of the next step now in terms of that, because it's using the processing power of the actual PlayStation. It's
Man,
pretty cool.
I try to think. I'm like, if Nintendo 30 years ago with their little, I think they called
The
it
Virtual
the Game
Boy.
The Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
That's right, the Virtual Boy, and they're like, man, we just jumped the gun a little bit.
I do
Jump the
believe
gun.
that's an idiomatic expression.
Oh, look at us connecting to last week.
Yeah.
They just rushed it out before they could work it out. But
Because you're right, it was like a little tripod, like
Yeah.
you sat on a table and you put your head in, and everything was red and black.
Right.
And that's all it was. And you had this like regular controller that you'd play with, and there was 6 games, I think, total that was ever made for it.
And then people
Total
were like,
failure.
yeah, they were like, this is garbage. We'll wait 30 years.
Yeah. But you're right, they did kind of jump the gun on that,
Yeah.
but they were, yeah.
I know kind of us talking about, admittedly, I don't have too much input on that. However, I have gotten more interested into like the virtual type stuff, even though I haven't done it as much to really have a big opinion. But Ish, talking about the arcades, now I haven't played a lot of them, but me and Charity grew up, which maybe we mentioned this in the other episode. There was a place in Indiana where we grew up called Great Times.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if it's still there now, or maybe in my adult mind it's not going to be as fun as it was when I was a kid.
Oh, it probably isn't. Well, and like arcades and stuff, they don't have tokens anymore because everything's on
Yeah.
a card, which takes away that feeling of power and wealth.
Yeah, I
that you had as a
enjoyed-
6-year-old. You had all these gold tokens.
I
that were
enjoyed
like, I'm
having like
rich.
50 tokens and having like 5,000 tickets and getting a little spider ring out of 5,000,
Absolutely.
you know?
We used to give them to kids. Like I think I mentioned this last time when we go to arcades, we get all the tickets. My wife and I would play like skee ball and stuff, and then we just give them to some random kid.
Oh, I loved you when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
I would be the one people give tickets
Actually,
to.
there were some adults and even some older kids that would give us like, you want these? And we're like, oh yes, please give us
well,
all
because
the
they would
tickets.
they would have the buckets. Remember, they used to give
Want
out the
some candy,
bucket
kids?
for the tickets. Yeah.
We don't take candy from strangers. We'll definitely
We'll
take
take your
your tickets.
tokens and your tickets, please, and
And
thank
this
you.
was last week.
Did I ever tell you about the arcade that I worked at, but also helped create for our hometown?
No,
Oh,
no.
So
yeah.
we had an old, it was an old clothing store, Alco, or no, it was an Alco at one point, and then it was like Stage One or something like that. And we, friends of mine, their parents were like, we need something for our young kids to be able to do, to go enjoy, because it's kind of a small town. There's not a lot to do besides other illegal activities. So they decided to build an arcade in this old like clothing store, and it wasn't a traditional arcade. But they hired me because they knew I liked playing games and I was a friend with their daughter to basically pick out what they were going to put in there.
Oh,
so they
cool.
gave me their credit card, and I drove down with my parents to Wichita here, and I bought like a handful of Xboxes and a handful of PlayStations and TVs and like all this stuff.
Wow.
And then we went back and we set it up,
What
so
was
that
your
way
budget, or they just said go pick out
kind of
whatever you
unlimited.
wanted?
Yeah, I mean they were just
That's
because we
nice.
kind of talked ahead of time. It's like, well, this is how many systems we'll have here, and then we'll have like a basketball thing that they were purchasing already. But I was kind of like responsible for getting all this stuff set up, so it was really fun to like create this arcade, and
Yeah.
then we had like a concession area, and then I worked there running it, and we'd rent games out to people so they could take it to the system and then play it.
I was
and stuff.
wondering, so how do the transactions work? So
Yeah.
it's like a library. You come up. And
Basically, yeah,
rent
it
the
kind of like
game.
Headshots here in town, where like you come up and you like we had like I had so many games or whatever, and people could come and rent them,
Oh,
and then
nice.
we'd send them. They'd have like a little booth that they could go play it in. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. It lasted about 2 years.
Oh,
Oh, that's. I was gonna say, is it still there?
Nope, but I had T-shirts. I wonder if I still have my old Game Time T-shirt. That's what it was called.
You
Was
know
Game
you
Time.
do.
So well, yeah, but I don't know if I fit in it.
Of course you do. Come on, Dan. You had the same body you had when you were a teenager, right?
Don't we all?
That's exactly right.
I can say with much pride and non-conviction that I do not fit in the same clothes I had in high school. I'm much nicer and better and more stabilized in clothing now. So, but
Well, we didn't have a bunch of hand-me-downs either. So, well, you're
That's
the
true.
oldest, so.
yeah, I had all the new clothes and Charity had the hand-me-downs.
that's how it
Goody.
works.
No,
That's
but
how
I
it
mean,
works.
2 years is still pretty good though.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
it was
I
good.
mean, it was short-lived, but you could still.
So did you get to keep everything when it closed
I
down?
didn't. No, I had stopped
You're like,
a little bit after
"These
that, and I
games
kind
are
of fell out.
I'm taking them all, and you have them all in your room somewhere.
Yeah, but no, I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't. I mean, I already had all the systems, so it wouldn't have helped me at all. But I didn't buy them, so I didn't feel like I could. I mean, I purchased them, but it wasn't my money, so it's
Sure.
like I'll be taking this. Thank you. That's it. That's all. That's what I got about video games
That's
right
his,
now.
his first bout in being entrepreneur. I
That's
guess.
right.
I agree with what you're saying that the idea of the arcade has definitely changed over the years and has gone through different trials and tribulations of trying to attract and sustain, attention and I don't know, relevance.
And it's hard too because I mean we talk about we're just talking about playing games, right? But a lot of times we talk about creative stuff. Like on the show here, we talk about making podcasts or radio shows or movies and stuff like that. And I think I mentioned this last time we talked about video games, but it's just such a unique platform for storytelling.
Yeah.
But it's also turned into this thing where like I always played games and that's all I did. Kids today create games or they create in the games. And it's kind of wild that that's like, I never would have imagined that when I was growing up.
Yeah, that it was even possible.
It was even possible, yeah.
Yeah.
But you got Minecraft, you got Roblox, and you got like all these things that kids love, and they go in there and they're like, just creating things out of their imagination, and they have this platform to do it with, and it's actually really nice. It's less mindless than it's always been for me, basically.
Well, I have a friend, her son is in, I want to say 2nd grade, and they actually have like a kid's computer programming class, like an entry-level thing, and they're learning how, it's simple stuff, learning how to like design stuff or to create, like a very simple animation or video game
Yeah,
or whatever.
wild.
But
I think it's
like, how crazy is that to learn that in 2nd grade?
Yeah, well, yeah.
That would have been. I would
not
have
only
been
to
really
have
into
the
it.
ability,
Yeah.
but like to create a curriculum around it. Like, is it called Scratch? I think. I think that's like the current.
like some kind of.
No, it's
Game
a
like that?
program, but it's. I was just thinking like when we were probably thinking about, or if you were wanting to develop a game, you'd learn Flash and you
Oh,
would
yeah.
create a game through Flash. And now it's gone through several iterations and it's become applicable. Not only that, but like what you're saying, it's practical for kids to be able to code something with immediate gratification.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
that was always the disconnect is to be able to program and code for hours, if not days, for a very simple animation or something like that. Where now there's like pre-built animations and you just set the key points.
Yeah.
Or
Mhm. It's wild. It's like drag and
keyframes.
drop almost.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
That actually helps me because I don't really have that much knowledge in that aspect. But one thing I do have knowledge in
Okay.
is Wichita history.
Oh, that was subtle.
And I'm out.
I was like, Alan and Dan will take the first half, and then it's all going to be me talking for the second half of it. So Wichita history, which is because that's where we live and all, but I think it's really fascinating learning about the origins of where we live. I didn't used to always be like that because I always thought where we live was such a boring place. I wanted to learn about other things. But the more I live here and then like in Indiana, I was like, there was some really cool things and some really strange things that happened during history. So I don't know. Like I said, it's been about 1.5 years since we talked about this.
no.
Have you got?
Oh no.
Yeah, Alan, I want you to give
There
me the
was a
full
man
anthology of
that came
Wichita.
to town
Are you gonna
with a dream.
and a crown? Are you gonna make something rhyme or something?
No, I thought you were pitching your Roger Rabbit.
With a dream and a dozen white rabbits.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, since you segued into that, I mean,
Sure.
I guess I could bring that up. It was actually something that me and Charity co-produced.
I was like,
It
thank
is-
you.
it is a
Let's
really
throw my
cool-
name in there.
Yeah. Oh, I remember you talking about it. I was like, that's a really cool little piece of forgotten Wichita history. I think,
yeah.
super proud of you guys for seeing it
Aw,
all the way
shucks,
through.
Alan.
Yeah, you're sitting in front of 2 award-winning filmmakers. I haven't brought that up this season, so no offense to
It's
you
bound to
guys.
come
Hey,
out.
I've won an award.
That's
It
right.
was a participation award, but I won it.
An honorable mention.
Again, I do hope for us to like submit our podcast to something, and we could all be award-winning podcasters. That'll happen soon.
It's the Double
Sure.
Stuff Awards.
Hey,
We can create our own award.
hey, we got the inaugural winning of the Double Stuffed Awards. No, but the story that me and Cherry are talking about is called "Who Scammed Raja Rabbit," and yeah, it's a weirdly true story, but it's about a guy that came to Wichita, a con man, a salesman. He went by the name of Porter, but he had a lot of different aliases.
14 different aliases
About-
that we know of.
14 that we know of, and he literally conned the city of Wichita into investing in white rabbits, and for the most part the whole city fell for it. So he ran off with, in modern day, about $5 million and left 55,000 rabbits to just
Do what rabbits do.
do what rabbits do. And
Okay.
so our film kind of tells that whole story. Like,
Well, obviously that wasn't his first con, right?
it was not his first con, but we
was his
think this
biggest?
is probably his most successful.
But he did
Okay.
that same con in
All
different
over the
parts of the
US.
United States.
Okay.
So he did
but
the same thing.
they were too wily for
Well, was
Old
it
Porter.
Colorado heard about it, and they contacted people in Wichita. They're like, there's this guy saying he's got this rabbit idea. And they're like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
But I think he conned other people that
Yeah.
didn't check in with Wichita first.
Oh,
Yeah, and he went to Leavenworth at least twice.
that's not a spot you want to go to.
No,
Especially for conning rabbits, it's like, what are you in for? Sold some rabbits. Don't mess with that guy. He's crazy.
That's right.
the thing is that because me and Trinity, we were able to get access to his prison records, and he wasn't even arrested for conning rabbits. He was arrested on mail fraud. So it had nothing. So he was, but that's kind of how he started getting into
like
that
Al
life
Capone.
of crime.
The technicality.
Yeah, technicality.
Yeah.
Like, oops.
How can we get him? You can't get him for dumb people. Well, what can we get him for? Mail fraud.
You gotta
Let's
get him
go.
the Chicago way.
The thing is that the paper trail or everything ends in 1943. So we think that's when he died. Don't know how.
Maybe he found Jesus. Found the Lord.
If he did,
Everybody sounded like, I don't believe that for a second.
Maybe he
That
put
guy
on a
was
fake
a mail
mustache.
frauder.
he dressed up as Jesus, like, I'll heal you and sell you a couple of white
dressed up as
rabbits.
Jesus started a church.
The Church of the Raja. The thing is that, but yeah, it ends in 1943. So my guess is that he conned the wrong guy
Oh, yeah.
and he wore some cement shoes. That's my guess.
Wow.
I don't know for sure.
I got dark real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, either
Some cement bunny ears.
some
Yeah.
cement bunny ears, or like I said in the film, some say he might still be roaming the halls, roaming the streets of Wichita, knocking on people's doors saying, "You want to buy a rabbit?"
Yeah.
So if you see about 120-year-old guy, just kind of
Selling rabbits.
Yeah.
Just run.
be like, "I know you."
Would you guys have fallen for the scam, do
Yeah.
you think?
No.
No?
No.
You say
I'd
that
like to
very
say no.
emphatically, but lots of people probably
Like-
didn't think it was a scam.
Well,
We-
that's the
yeah,
thing.
we have
If you
very
can
smart
convince
people to fall for
a
it.
group of people, then you can convince one person convinced because a group of people are convinced. But yeah, to just start with me, no. Now, if there was like 100 people, I'd be like, well, let me look into it.
Yeah.
But I don't think
he
I
had
would have.
very prominent people giving money and investing into this scam.
He was on the radio. He went to the Kansas State Fair, did all this stuff. You need to watch the film to find out all the cool stuff.
Sure.
But still, it's just he was good at what he did.
Yeah.
He was,
and
he was
that's
a good
why-
con man. He was
yeah.
convincing.
I mean,
Yeah.
to con the whole city, not just a handful of people, the whole city of Wichita.
And to do it multiple times in different states
Yeah.
throughout the
Yeah.
country.
So, for those of you who want to watch this,
Shameless plug
I wasn't
for the documentary.
to be honest, I wasn't really planning on doing that. But
That's okay.
You know, I mean, why not?
No, plug your work.
So yes, I will plug my work, our work, because
Thank you. Sarah keeps throwing me
It
out
was
of
the
this.
royal you.
the understood me, which is
Understood me? Okay. I don't remember that in English
But,
book.
but you can check us out on Facebook at Raja Rabbit. So that's our page on
Who
Facebook.
scammed Raja Rabbit.
Yeah, so we have
Well,
we'll have
best of
screenings
luck.
coming
I hope
up. Yeah.
Hope it gets picked up.
It's
and
already won.
distributed.
It's already won an award, so there's only other.
There's
only other direction to
another
go.
film festival coming up too
Yes.
that we'll be
We'll do
participating
that.
in.
But
Okay.
in terms of just history in general, do you guys? Is there any places that you've checked out recently that has some rich history or something that you didn't know before?
There's a lot of little local spots that have a lot of history too.
One
There
thing
is.
that I do appreciate is right around in the was it the Museum of Treasures, World Treasures. Just
Yeah.
that area, you can because there's not a lot of cars that are going through, so it feels very kind of big city. That alleyway that's right there by like Public at the Brickyard and things like that. You don't feel like you're in Wichita, so that's fun.
That whole area.
That whole
The
area,
little
yeah.
courtart has like plaques and stuff.
Yeah,
on
it
that, like-
says what the buildings used to be.
Yeah.
It's,
Sure.
it's part of the warehouse district.
The
I believe.
warehouse, all of Douglas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's so cool because those are some of the original buildings, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just. I know this is weird, but like when I come across history, especially when you have access to like, it's cool just to touch the wall and be like, man, this thing was around.
I wouldn't touch those walls.
I always wash my hands afterwards, but
Yeah.
it's still the fact that I'm near something
Yeah.
that was around.
I'm near
100
old things.
Yeah, 110.
Sitting next
120
to
years ago.
Alan.
I'm sitting right here.
Sorry, Alan.
I don't think I brought it up on the podcast, but did I talk about the Galbraith Railroad mail map that I found?
That's a very
No.
specific
Okay.
thing.
So
Yeah,
this is really
yeah.
cool. I'll share it with you guys at some point, and maybe we can post it or something like that. But it's on the Wichita subreddit. Because if you're on Reddit, there is a Wichita subreddit. It's really cool.
Oh, I need
People
to check
talk
it
about
out.
it. But somebody had shared this, and it was an old map from 1893. It was from a place called, or a company called Galbraith. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Maps, and what it was it was rail routes around the state of Kansas for mail delivery specifically. And what they did was they drew pictures and stuff on it to like mnemonic. I can't
You
even say
can do
that
it.
word. Mnemonic.
You got it.
For town names, so that
Okay.
way they could remember what the names of towns were and stuff like that.
Oh.
And one of the things I noticed on there was that, like I said, this was from 1898 or 1898. Mays was a town that was on there during that time. I thought Mays was like a newer sort of like development in Sedgwick County.
Yeah.
But no, it's been around a long time as
That's
like its own
interesting.
town. So it's really cool. I'll share it with you if you like
that's so
history.
cool.
I wonder
Nice.
if a descendant from the person that owned that company is Dr. Galbraith, who's a local podiatrist.
Could be. Yeah, very well could
It
be.
might be a
Dun,
family
dun,
name.
dun.
Honestly, if you guys just go especially downtown Wichita, there's just so many buildings and landmarks there that some of that stuff dates back to 1870 when
enough.
Wichita was created. If you were to look at a picture of 1870 Douglas, there's no denying it's Douglas. It's just amazing that even though all that stuff has changed, you know where you are at
Well,
Douglas from
PBS
1870
has done
picture.
a couple shows the historical buildings of Kansas or whatever, which some of those
yeah.
are probably listed in there.
They might be, yeah. So just check out your own backyard. There's a lot more cool things than what you think. It's more than just
Grass.
more than just grass.
Grass and cows.
There's history.
There's a
grass.
lot of that too.
Some of it's nefarious.
Oh, another big word for you, Alan.
It's
Nefarious.
automatic.
So proud of
The
you.
magnet.
Well,
a
you're
tap.
doing so well. You're doing so well.
But yeah, so guys, yeah, just check out Wichita history, especially if you live here in town. If you live somewhere else in the United States, just go to your local library, college, museum, and just find out some really cool stuff in your area. You'd be surprised what we're able to find. So with that bit of a PSA, but yeah, just thank you guys for listening to our podcast episodes so far. All of our newest episodes are available on all different podcast platforms. Check us out on our website at doublestuffpod.com. Of course, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Double Stuff Podcast, and on Twitter at Double Stuff P, and that's the letter P.